I don't want to get ahead of myself. I understand the offense is going to be a little bit rough around the edges. It's going to be, it's not going to be as clean or as crisp. These are a bunch of new players being put into a new coaching staff. A lot of these players are going to be in new environments. So it's going to take a lot. It's going to take some time for them to get everything together. But to expedite that process, we're going to either need to start playing these shooters in preseason to see what they can contribute, or we're going to have to make a move and bring in a legitimate point guard to kind of bring all of these ingredients together. Hey, what's going on? Keith here from Sports Vibes TV. The New York Knicks just lost to the Pistons 99-91. They're falling to 1-1 for the preseason so far. And some of the issues that I've spoken about on the channel, you saw on the court today. One of the big issues that I've been speaking about is spacing. And you see that a lot with the starters. The only real shooter, when it comes to the starters is Alec Burks. And he's really the only one that had a good game from three this whole game. He was, I think, 3 for 5 for the game from three. Everybody else only made at most 1 3. For the most part, everybody was shooting well below 30-some-odd% from three. And that's going to be a problem for the development of RJ and some of the other younger players. The fact that the spacing is compromised. You'll see it with Julius Randle. Julius Randle will try to operate inside the paint. And because there's no spacing, because none of these other defenders respect who else is on the court or who else is surrounding the three-point line, they're keying in on anybody as soon as they get into the paint. And not only that, because they're not really respecting the outside shooting, they're able to, go into a 2-3 zone. And I got some film review that I've been working on this week, and hopefully I'll be able to get it finished and out to you guys by, 12 o'clock on Monday. But you'll see they're throwing the 2-3 zone at us because on the, on the weak side, they're not really worried about who's going to be, left open if they have to rotate and cover the paint. So the fact that Alec Burks right now is the only shooter in the starting lineup, you're going to see the team be compromised offensively. Defensively, our defense is ahead of our offense, and that's to be expected. For the most part, defense is, pretty much, I would say 75-80% effort. And if the guys are going to be out there putting in good effort, then we're going to be reasonable, or we're going to be serviceable defensively. It's offensively where we're finding a lot of issues with the team right now. And it's not only with the first unit. I'm harping on the first unit when it comes to their lack of shooting. But in this game, it was really the second unit that pretty much lost us the game. If you look at the plus minus for the starters, they're all positive. It's the second unit, which consists of Frank Nitty, DSJ, Kevin Knox, Obi, Mitch. It was that unit that kind of gave us, the lead. Well, they didn't give up the lead. I think we had just climbed back to tie the game. And I think we might have been up by 1 at that point. But the second unit is the one that ended up putting us down by, I think, 8 or 10 points, something in that range. And you'll see that another issue with the team, not only with the lack of shooting, but the fact that we don't have a premier point guard that's going to put some of these guys in the best position to succeed, to score. And that is what we're seeing time and time again with the second unit. If the second unit isn't working cohesively and moving the ball around like they did in the first game, I'll link my review of that first game up above. You can check that one out. If they're not able to move the ball like they did in that game, then it's going to be some trouble, because there's no point guard on the team that's going to be able to initiate the pick and roll, get into the paint, and divvy up the ball to whoever gets open. They tried to do that with DSJ in this game. DSJ was really not into it this game. He was having a lot of issues. There was a bunch of turnovers, if I'm not mistaken. Well, he only had 1 turnover, but there was some boneheaded plays he made that weren't necessarily good for the team. And you saw him. Tibbs pulled him over, spoke to him. It didn't work out, so he had to end up benching him, and we finally saw Quickley. The fact that we saw Quickley, to me, was refreshing. I even text Inf, who's the co-host on the Knicks State of Mind podcast. I'll link that up above as well if you want to check that out. I text him. I'm like, yo, Quickley's finally in the game. We'll be able to see what he has to offer. And we saw a little bit from him. We didn't get to see as much. You know, he's a rookie. He's a later round rookie at that. So he had to really operate around the other, you know, more seasoned veterans on the court. But he showed a little bit of promise. He wasn't able to get as many shots off. He had 1 3 that he missed, but he showed some hustle. He followed up, and he was able to put the ball back up on a rebound. But he still had some negative plays as well. He did have a couple turnovers. I think he had a palming. He got called for a travel. So that's going to have to be coached out of him. But I want to see more Quickley, especially with the way the offense has lagged in the first 2 games. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I understand the offense is going to be a little bit rough around the edges. It's going to be, you know, it's not going to be as clean or as crisp. These are a bunch of new players being put into a new coaching staff. A lot of these players are going to be in new environments. So it's going to take a lot. It's going to take some time for them to get everything together. But to expedite that process, we're going to either need to start playing these shooters in preseason to see what they can contribute, or we're going to have to make a move and bring in a legitimate point guard to kind of bring all of these ingredients together. Because right now, offensively, it's going to be a struggle all season. I really don't see where we're going to have any kind of internal option at point guard, especially since we aren't seeing as much from Quickley to really make that decision that he's going to be a starting point guard in this league or not. So, you know, I'm not going to, go out on a limb and say the team's terrible, but there are a lot of things this team has to work on. I mean, you see some shining stars on the team. You see some bright spots like R.J. Barrett. He had a pretty good game today. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had 25 points. Julius Randle, he's still doing some boneheaded stuff, but he did pretty good. I think he had 18. Let me double check. Yeah, Julius Randle had 18. Alec Burks, he was the only one that was really knocking down consistent 3-point shots. He had a pretty good game as well. Even the commentators were saying, you got to try to get Alec Burks the ball a little bit more, because right now he's the only one on the court that can knock down a 3. And that's the same exact thing I was saying when I was kind of, trying to see if the Knicks were hinting at who would be the starting lineup. I'll link that video up above as well if you wanted to see that. So let me know what you guys thought about this game. I liked how we looked the first game. This second game, it kind of showed a lot of the issues that probably weren't exposed in the first game, especially since the Pistons, they've already seen us and they know how to game plan against us a little bit better, which is what they did when they pulled out that 2-3 zone. In one of the film reviews, they implemented that same 2-3 zone and it worked to perfection. So they just brought it back again in this second game. So let me know what you think about the game down in the comments, all right? Once again, I'm Keith, host of Sports Vibes TV, and I'm out.
Stress.